Hello and welcome to Blytheway Business News. Today I'm joined by Olivier Mussat, who is Chief Executive of Atome. Atome is the green hydrogen company in the process of being spun out of President Energy and will be listed on the London Exchange later this month, December. Olivier, welcome back on the program. Last time we spoke, you'd just been appointed Chief Executive. Tell us what's happened between then and now.
Morning, Tim. It's been a busy few weeks, that's for sure. We've been working full steam ahead, obviously the investor roadshow, making sure that we had all of the documentation ready to list at the end of this month. We haven't stopped on this front, but also on the ground. Our teams in Paraguay and Iceland have always also been really busy. So now we finalized the memorandum of understanding with a power supply ANDE in Paraguay. And now our local CEO, Jim Spalding, is starting discussion on the long-term power purchase agreement. We also have in Iceland, finalized an MOU with Haldo Topsoe, which is one of the largest electrolyzer and ammonia loop supplier in the world, on helping on the design of the project in Iceland. And also we've started discussions with a number of shipping companies who would be the natural off-taker for our green ammonia when we start producing by 2024. So, clearly the listing is important, but we have to deliver on the ground and we have a very ambitious timeline. So it's full steam ahead on all fronts.
So clearly lots of progress on the ground in both Paraguay and Iceland and with the management team. But I do want to focus a little bit on the actual flotation, because as we said, it's going to happen this month, December 2021. You've got a broker in place, but you've also brought in a primary bid as part of that fundraising. For the benefit of the viewers and potential investors, tell us a bit more about how primary bid are going to help. What are they going to do for Atome and its listing?
Well, as you know, as a listed company, having a wide shareholder base is quite important. And we also recognize that, for the individual investors, the opportunity that Atome brings, being, the first and only company focused on the production of green hydrogen and green ammonia, is also an opportunity. And this is kind of where primary bids, comes into play. And we've seen them being very active over the past year, as they offered a platform, which was, originally an unusual route, but, now we're in the new economy, your Bitcoin is now normal. Having these types of platform for investors is also becoming normal. So it's a great, in a way, democratization. So now the platform for primary bid is open. I mean, there is also documentation and some of the teasers available there. So we can only encourage people to really have a look and hopefully think that our business case makes a lot of sense and they want to be part of the first company focused on production. So
you're encouraging, or you're making it easier for retail shareholders to participate in this flotation. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I think it's, we definitely see it's not only institutions who want to invest in green, but also retail investors. And we offer something a little bit different than just, long-term technology. It's really about, assets, production, infrastructure, and near-term cash flow.
There's been a lot of talk throughout this year, and I suppose emphasized with the COP conference on green energy sources, and hydrogen comes up time and time again. You are going to be producing green hydrogen. Tell us why green hydrogen is special, why it's better, and why is it now the time to be investing in green hydrogen?
So I think the way, having worked in energy, all of my life, I started as a power engineer, moved into oil and gas, then went into the financing of energy, and now within Atome. The difference that we see with hydrogen and ammonia, it can actually be what we call the Swiss Army knife of decarbonization. And what I mean by that is there are a number of places where electrification, using green energy for a Tesla, makes total sense. But you end up having a part of the economy, which uses a lot of energy, but that needs a type of energy which isn't directly electrons, but molecules. And what I mean by that, it's, what we are using today is gas molecule, petrol molecules. And what green hydrogen and green ammonia allow you to do is to have green energy using existing systems that just needs to be adapted. So when you look at large trucks, especially now on the shipping side, and for fishing and short-term transport, green ammonia is really what we can do. I mean, having an electric plane, for example, it's still quite far away, but having a plane running on hydrogen and ammonia is already now, in the testing phases. So we see that this is a way to decarbonize the sectors which are hard to decarbonize, agriculture, fertilizers. And because you are adapting your existing system instead of transforming them, like you have to do with electrons, you can increase the adoption much faster. Unfortunately, the pace on the production side hasn't really gone that fast. So which is where we want to be the accelerator of that green hydrogen, green ammonia economy. There's also a cost angle, and we've seen, like solar 15 years ago, costs are starting to come down quite aggressively to the point that using electrolysis, so electricity to transform water into a molecule of hydrogen and a molecule of oxygen, really is starting to really make sense economically, and if you have low price of power. And this is where Atome is a little bit different, because we have been able to get in earlier. We have been able to identify sites where you can get stable, long-term electricity at low prices, which will help, again, kickstart a green hydrogen, green ammonia economy, because we can compete and at times be cheaper than the current hydrocarbons alternative. And in the future, it is going to get cheaper because the technology is advancing. But one last point I wanted to make, and I think we've discussed that last time, is between COP21 and COP26, a lot of progress has been made around hydrogen. And we are seeing governments putting a lot of efforts behind it. I think just 2 weeks ago, in the Biden's plan on transforming the economy, on the infrastructure plan, they've announced nearly $9 billion just to help support green hydrogen. In Europe, they have about 80 billion euro. So although we have no intention of running into a subsidized model, because we know we are competitive today, it's clearly a great indication that things are moving fast, and possibly faster than what we have seen in solar 10 years ago.
Thank you for that. Now, you're on track to be listed in a few weeks' time. And when you do list, you're going to be, I think, the first dedicated hydrogen and ammonia company on the London market. It's easy to get fixated on the listing, but life goes on. You've got to keep on running your company. I want to invite you just to look forward beyond the listing date. What's going to be around the corner? What's going to be the new steps, the next steps that we can expect from Atome as we roll into 2022?
So the next 9 months will be increasingly busy. I mean, it's a self-imposed deadline, but we want to reach FID by Q3 2022 on both of our projects in Paraguay and Iceland. So to do that, we essentially need to finalize the power purchase agreement, long-term power purchase agreement, which will help define the quantity of electricity we get. We're talking about 350 megawatts, the price of the electricity, the suppliers will be working for, the EPCs that we'll be working with, the off-takers that we will be working with. As we discussed last time, Trafigura is one of our major shareholders and also one of the largest traders of ammonia in the world, so that's very useful for us. But we're also having discussions across the value chain, including with shipping companies who need to green their fleet. And we're also having discussion with the financing parties to make sure that when we get into development, we can actually fund the CapEx on a project finance basis, ensuring that we are maximizing all of the sources of concessional funding, whether it's from the Inter-American Development Bank, the World Bank, EBRD, you name it. So it's all about getting to a point where we reach final investment decision in Q3, then we can start construction in order to meet our deadline to start first production in 2024, in Q1 2024.
Olivier, thanks for that update. And we hope to see you again, possibly after you've listed, possibly before. That was Olivier Mussat, Chief Executive of Atome, floating on the London Exchange in December, updating us on progress on the ground, but also telling us about the appointment of primary bid to make this flotation easily accessible for retail shareholders. That's it from Blytheway Business News for this edition. Thanks for watching.